Exacto, pero...
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Dead Dad, a horror podcast.
Brought to you by Big Baby Studios.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Dead Air, a horror podcast. My name is Chris Costello and I am your only host for this episode. I am all alone. I'm not with anyone because this is another special episode. Special in the sense that this is a part 2 of last week's episode where we got to talk to screenwriter and podcaster Ramon De Veyra as he took a really deep dive into the film Get Out. It was so deep, this deep dive, that we had to do a part 2. And this is our part 2. So enjoy.
So one of the things that Sunken Place refers to, as according to Peele, he's mentioned 2 things. It's the marginalization of black horror audiences who are apparently very loyal with black horror films, but they never see themselves on screen. So they never feel represented. So it's like that thing, parang you're in the Sunken Place, you're watching it from afar, but it's never about you. The other thing that he said struck him as it also could be a metaphor for the prison industrial system, where so many black bodies are just basically thrown in a black hole, and then they're just used up, diba? Because the prison industrial system is basically the modern slavery of modern slavery. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the documentary The 13th of Ava DuVernay,
No.
who is a friend of Maria Mora's, and
Oh shit! Really?
yeah, they're close. And then, but that documentary is about how the 13th Amendment, which sort of abolished slavery in the exception of prisons. So you can force labor out of prisoners who are primarily minorities. So it's that form of slavery. And then after that, the next day, he wakes up and one of the motifs is like the rain when he was a kid. And then ang galing that sequence kasi it's like find the rain, and then she's putting him in the sort of sleep. The audio of the rain fades in, and then at the moment where she commands him to sink, it becomes absolute silence and it becomes really scary. And then there's just this low drone when he's like sinking. But when he wakes up in a start thinking that he wasn't sure if it happened or not, there's the sound of rain, and it's actually the shower that Rose is having. So parang it startles him, but then it gets defused by the phone. And then, he gets an update. Those are occasional instances of levity. Sila Rod checking with, of course, comedian din si Lil Rel Howery. So that's effective in that sense. And then the party arrives in all black cars. And then...
All black.
And then there's this sequence there where...
Because they want to be inside.
Yeah, they want to be
something black.
Right.
And then there's a scene where he's being introduced to all these people. And then it's a lot of looking at the camera. This lineup of white faces, and it makes you paranoid. Everyone's staring at you. It's sort of unnerving, and everyone's like sort of measuring you up. Most of the deleted scenes are actually from this party because it would have been over the top na parang everyone's like, parang siyang piece of meat talaga na parang win away.
It's so unnerving. That's a really good word to describe it, because like the movie starts out, it's so simple. And then it just gets weirder and weirder.
Yes.
And then you find yourself like really relating to Chris.
Diba?
Because like it's just like, what the fuck is happening? Like seriously, what are all these white fucks doing here?
Why are they talking this way?
Yeah, it's so unnerving. Like that's another thing that I found really interesting after multiple views. Like at first view, you're like just awkwardly, uncomfortably laughing at other comments. Like, they're like, oh yeah, look at that Tiger Woods. Isn't he incredible?
I know him.
Or like, is it true what they say that, basically she's saying like, once you go black, you never go back, and then, but so it's like so uncomfortable. You're like, oh, so this is just like the black experience, just being talked to, like the white people find a way to relate to you by but by saying like the most obvious thing, like fucking like Tiger Woods is a champion in a white man's sport or whatever. But watching it the second after multiple times, you're like, oh no, it's because that's what they want from you.
Yeah.
Like the old white man is like, yeah, I like golf. I like to dabble in golf. And, oh, but Tiger Woods is the best.
Yes.
And then he's like, how's your swing? Because he wants to get in his body.
Yeah.
So he'll play golf like Tiger Woods. Or like the girl is like, is it true what they say? Like basically like, you know, if you know, it basically like, you know, there's a black man have a really big dick because she wants it from her husband.
Yeah.
You know, she
her
wants
husband, by
her
the
husband
way,
to,
in a wheelchair.
Exactly, is in a wheelchair. So she's probably not, you know, being sexually satisfied. So the way they play that scene out, after watching it multiple times, you're like, oh, okay, so she's not just like being like, oh, hey girl, you know, she's being like, I want that. You know what I mean? Like,
but galing lang na that only all makes sense later on kasi. Like, parang,
dude.
Like if you're watching it for the first time, like, wow, this is really so awkward and weird. And then later on, when you figure out the whole when the reveal is out, parang, oh man. If you watch it again for the second time, it really is like a meat market. Parang, parang, yeah.
It's that scene is so uncomfortable for me. Yeah, like speed dating. That scene is so uncomfortable for me because I have so many white relatives. I hope, oh my God, I hope they don't.
But you're white, Chris.
No, I'm not. and then they're all liberal, by the way. And then so I can just imagine how uncomfortable this movie is to white liberals. You know, like they're just like, oh fuck, is that what we sound like? You know, when we're trying to be woke. Like, is that us? Is that us saying that we would vote for Obama a third time? Is that us saying that Tiger Woods is an incredible golfer? You know what I mean? Like, it's
in that way, that movie's kind of cool because it doesn't even go for low hanging fruit. It doesn't even go for obvious rednecks or obvious racial. Parang, parang it's a. I guess it's like parang post-Obama na parang those people who voted for him, those white people voted for him, are people parang who feel they're like progressive. Parang they can be also
racist.
You know, a source of racism in one way or another. Again.
What Aaron, what was I want to hear more about your experience in Brooklyn watching it.
Well, I mean, it was really just I was entertained by the fact that you could hear whispers. You can't hear what they're saying, but you could hear.
Those were all white men. Like,
I didn't look around.
I just said this to him yesterday.
But yeah, there was a lot of cheering, especially in the end. I'm like, yeah, man, more like that. So
if that was a white man doing that, that's white guilt.
But it was so fun. It was so fun to watch it there.
Like how Ramon, like how again, like we can never compare it to our experience of growing up black in America, but like I mean, like we have microaggressions too. I'm being Asian,
sure.
Like you know, just simple things like you know, white people saying that, wow, your English is so good.
Oh, I got that so many
shit
times.
Like that,
so many times.
Right? Everyone here has gotten that, I'm sure.
But like, I respond with, don't you know that you guys were in our country from like the 1940s? Like I give a whole, you guys were the ones who taught us this. Yeah.
I went off on the Filipino-American War in one of our quizzes. Na parang, see, that's not even taught in the States. That there was a Filipino-American War which used up all the cocaine.
Wow.
Because cocaine was the painkiller of the time.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So hospitals in New York, they didn't have any painkillers because it was all in the Filipino-American War.
Yeah. Oh, really? Wow. That's incredible.
But I was gonna say, parang, bawal ba to talk about when we brought you to a strip club, Chris?
What strip club? What are you talking? I have no idea what you're talking. I've never been to a strip club. Hush. Wife, this is where you skip this episode.
Okay, Maui, I'm making scissors.
Oh, I just heard her. She heard me say that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So one time we brought Chris. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, fuck.
For the people who aren't, you know, who are just listening and don't have the visuals, Chris can present as white. So we brought...
I cannot present... No, that's not true. I cannot. I can present as...
Here in the Philippines, I think you can.
You can, yeah.
Your complexion has it. And you have the features naman eh. Anyway, so we brought him to the strip joint one time. And then...
One of our first... Yeah, that was funny.
We convinced the ladies of the night that were there na he was visiting from abroad and spoke no Tagalog. So every time they would say yung parang, shy siya eh, pero gwapo, pabili naman ng ganito, ganyan. Parang si Chris would just keep trying to, keep from cackling. But parang he understood everything. And then he was just like, and then he would have to sort of faux translate, di ba? Parang, she said, you're not looking, di ba? She said, let's have a drink, di ba? Let's go to the back.
Let's go to the back.
I don't know. That's all hearsay. This is all I heard.
Yes. No.
Yeah, just to be clear, Sean, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
This is all fiction.
Hindi
I've
pala
never
to
been
first-hand story.
Yeah. Back on track.
But
Yeah.
Back on track.
But back on track. Diba? One of the things I love talaga about this movie is sobrang swabe ng escalation.
Yeah.
In terms of the paranoia.
Yes, it really ramps up.
The humor is there to kind of act as a pressure valve when it's getting to be a little too anxious. But also the humor is also used very cleverly. I have to respect the deception, but it's used also for you to second guess what you think is happening. Na parang, it can't be.
Yeah, there's so many red herrings.
Yeah.
There's so many like at the beginning you think that, so this whole thing is that they are kidnapping black men, brainwashing them, right? Like that was that was what I thought.
Right.
And so the reveal later on that it was like white people trying to possess black people's bodies.
Yes.
That's when it's like, oh fuck, oh wow.
And it's more sinister.
Like,
it's
more sinister.
The first thing I leapt to kasi was like most dangerous game situation. Na parang, are these black men being hunted for something?
Yeah.
And it's also the exact moment when Lakeith returns. And you weren't expecting it. Akala mo parang pinatay lang siya sa intro. But then he shows up and you're like, oh, it's the guy from the intro. And then he's so different in his behavior. And then, if you're paying attention, then you kind of are twigging onto the fact na, oh, wait, I think I know na. I have an inkling of what's going on here. There's a deleted scene that was filmed, pero it's like Jeremy gets Chris into a game of badminton, and then they're trash talking, and then he gets into it even though he doesn't really play sports. Pero slowly, unbeknownst to him, the entire party starts crowding around and watching them. And then parang he gets so into the game, he scores this awesome point, and then he turns around and everyone's cheering, and then they're not watching the game, they're just looking at Chris. So it's really scary. But it might have tipped it a little, it might have tipped the scales
that sounds
a
like
bit.
a bit
so
too.
I get why that was deleted.
I like it right now. Like it's so tight as a thriller, as a horror thriller. It's so tight,
super.
Like
as a drama.
Walang tapon na scene.
Yeah,
like every scene has a purpose.
Diba? I was saying that also yesterday. Parang wow, grabe walang taba tong script and tong film na to. Kahit na may mga things that aren't super exact with the script, and even things you might originally think might be considered fat. It's the levity parts that are supposed to diffuse the situation for you, where you parang and it harbors this idea pa rin, or the possibility of skepticism, because you're still thinking na hindi naman in on it si girl, diba? Kasi she's so woke. So you're still that's the big reveal.
You still have that hope
that she's the ally. That she's the ally who will get him out. Yeah.
Diba?
So that turn is a big betrayal for you as an audience member.
The whole film, any film naman talaga, but more obviously with horror. Any film is basically a series of well set traps.
Yeah.
And
yes.
You can see that
plant and payoff.
Diba?
Yeah.
You can see that very done so well here. And then and this is one of the one of the most important moments comes up when he goes upstairs, and then parang
his phone is unplugged.
No, you're following Chris, right? And then as soon as he gets upstairs, everybody who's talking in the foreground stops talking and it's dead silent.
Oh,
then
yeah,
they're all looking
yeah.
upstairs. And then, oh shit, if you had any doubt na stuff that's bad stuff is gonna happen, it's like, out the window. They're all in on it now. The only chance now is woke white girl. But and then what happens there is like, then Lakeith gets parang triggered in terms of a release by the Flash, which will come.
And he says the film's title.
Yeah, and then he says the film's title, so we can all do the Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, ooh. And then, sorry, hindi pala,
I can do it perfectly.
Hindi pala audio yan pero we're doing the Leo DiCaprio pointing at the screen still from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because Lakeith Stanfield basically says, the movie's title.
Get out.
Get out of here. And then they go to the lake, and then of course it's one of the pièces de résistance of the film, which is the silent auction. And it's cross-cut so elegantly with a very emotional, revealing scene
Conversation.
at the lake. And this is where Chris confides in the fact na he feels guilty for the death of his mom, because if he had called his aunt and gotten people to start looking for the mom, then they might have reached her in time, because she didn't die nga instantly in the accident. She bled out over a couple of hours. But it's done so well. It's cross-cut and juxtaposed with such a dark thing. I remember gasping in the theater when I saw that it was an auction, because it's so, it's jarring. Diba? I mean, of course, it reminds you of how Black people
slaves were literally auctioned. Yeah,
so to see it, especially by an actor na is very liberal and one you love from The West Wing, it's like, wow, this is going hard. And then
that's the scene where Rose and Chris were wearing basically the American flag, right?
Yeah, I've seen that. Yung parang naka blue and then red and white stripes.
Red and white stripes, Rose, and he was wearing blue.
There's another theory online na, I don't know, this is a bit of a reach na for me, but the two Black people kasi in the party, Andre and Chris, they are both wearing blue or have something blue, and everyone else has some spot color of red. So this comment was like, is this a Republicans versus Democrats thing? This parang, maybe.
Probably,
but,
yeah.
Could be, but I didn't know. I didn't know how. But I couldn't find any parang corroboration or confirmation for that. So parang, I didn't know it na. And then, so, yeah, I mean, then after that is the reveal already, na? Pero one of the cool scenes here is like when he sends the photo he took of Andre, and then Little Rel, his character Rod, confirms that, hey, that's the guy we know. And then, oh yeah, that's why I found him familiar. And then he was like telling Rose we have to go. And then he finds the box, right? But tellingly, that closet door was left open so that he would discover the box and then find in the box the photos of all these other Black people na Rose seduced and brought over to the house, including the bodies that her grandparents are now in. So binems niya yan. Anyway.
All right.
Diba?
I never thought of it that way.
Even the lesbian, diba? I mean, even the mom.
So
the
she
grandma.
technically slept with her grandmother and her grandfather.
Well, the bodies anyway. The bodies that they are now occupying.
Yes.
And then, pero that's like, it's so sinister, it's so evil. It's like a cat talaga playing with its prey. She left that door open. And then she's pretending
that was on purpose.
Parang, what? Diba? And then he's like, oh, I'm looking for my camera. And then, oh, it's here. And then of course, the inability to find the keys comes back, seeded in the first scene when they arrive at the house. So it still plays with the tension of parang, is she in on it? Is she in on it? Is she in on it? And then, of course, everybody's posing sinister na, diba? There's the pathetic lacrosse racket. But there's also the mom, and then Bradley Whitford in front of a fireplace giving a speech about the son. And then he gets captured. And then here is another huge shining tribute, because structurally, suddenly we go to Rod. And it's several minutes with Rod. Diba? Parang completely gone yung
that was like in The Shining when they cut to what's his name?
They go to Scatman Crothers.
Scatman Crothers, yeah.
So parang, and he's also, by the way, Scatman Crothers, who saves them in the end. This is also Rod's role, diba?
Yeah.
So parang,
another
sort of nod to the Shining, and then, but also it's a really funny sequence, diba? Parang there's that scene where Sir Rod tries to tell the cops what happened, and in a way it's like lampshading. Parang the filmmakers are saying, we know this sounds ridiculous, but in this instance, si Rod actually got it right. He's like the stereotypical, parang Chris. Now, let's talk while he's not on screen. No? Parang Chris, na he's watched every horror film, and then he figured out, based on the information given to him by Chris, I mean, the movie's Chris, not our Chris. But now he was able to figure out what was going on, and he's right, but it's so far-fetched that it sounds funny when you say it out loud. Yeah. And then it's used as parang comic relief, diba? But of course. And then we'll also get the scene where parang it's very sort of obvious naman na si Rose is eating cereal in the most psychopathic possible way, which is drinking milk, eating Fruit Loops separately. They're not in one bowl. But I mean, yeah, fine. It might be racist, but you don't want to mix colors and whites. But also, it's just like, only a psycho eats like that.
Right.
And then, of course,
yeah.
And then, of course, the
It's so
trophy wall
weird.
is back up, di ba? Kasi na-capture na si Chris, so all her parang bounties, kumbaga, are on the wall. And then, there's that nice parallelism, di ba? When he's in the game room na, and then he's strapped to the chair. And then he wakes up, and then there's the mounted head of a stag or buck. A buck, by the way, is also a term that was used for strong black
For
men.
a young black man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but also, it's like a reverse of the gaze that happened at the beginning, di ba? Because see, Chris was looking down at a dying deer, and now the deer is looking down, and he's
Looking
in
down
dire
at
straits.
someone who's gonna get killed. Yep.
Yeah. And then there's also, and then of course everything happens in this way that you really love to see. Diba? He is literally, so he's strapped.
How does he save
he's
himself?
strapped to this chair, and every time he gets parang forced into the sunken place, he starts scratching the arms of the chair, like he did the bedpost when he was a kid and the chair in the office upstairs. But this time, he's able to parang peel apart the what do you call that? The
Armrest.
upholstery, I guess, of the armrest, and then he gets to reach the cotton underneath the padding. So what he does is, because he keeps getting sent to the sunken place by the audio trigger of the tinkling, what he does is he literally picks cotton from the
To save his
chair,
life.
stuffs it in his ear, and that's what saves him. He's able to pretend he's unconscious, and then when he's being prepared for the operation, he's able to get the drop on Jeremy, kills him with a buckyball. Well, not kills, but he knocks him out with the buckyball, and then we have this great reveal where Bradley Whitford gets impaled by the stag's
So
antlers.
satisfying.
Diba? And then
All the kills in this movie were so satisfying, by the way.
and then when he goes up, the reveal of Georgina in the kitchen is the same as her first introduction, where he just parang enters the room and she's there pala. So
Yeah.
but she runs out, and then he encounters Missy, and then there's that great standoff moment where the
They look at the teacup.
saucer and teacup are between them, and then it's a race to get to it first, and then he knocks it out. He knocks it away from her reach, and then she tries to stab him with, I think, a letter opener, and it goes to his hand, and then he manipulates his hand and uses the letter opener to stab her. It's actually written very interestingly in the script. It happens parang off screen and in the dark pa. So you just hear it. Pero in the film, it actually got shown.
They show it, yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's the...
So this is where this whole sequence, actually, this is when he finally lets loose, because he's been so just accepting the entire movie until like he lets out, and then he really lets out.
Yeah.
So that's another great thing about it, like why it's so satisfying is because they really built it up.
Yeah.
There's
so much.
There's a shot where he parang puts his forehead against Catherine Keener's forehead. Do you remember that?
Mhm.
Na parang it's a show of primal superiority.
Oh,
in the animal
like
kingdom.
rams.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
rams would
So parang he puts,
knock foreheads.
Yeah, he puts the forehead against hers and sort of pushes her down. And then it's like, oh, this is very satisfying. Just parang naka-dazed na siya. He's like sort of in a fugue already. But just trying to survive. And then si Jeremy shows up. He's not dead pala. Tries to do the chokehold that he did on Andre. And then this is the sequence where parang the jujitsu line comes to bite him in the ass. Where, jujitsu now is about thinking 3 moves ahead. And then every time he reaches for the door, si Jeremy closes it. And then he realizes now, okay, if I do that, he's going to do it again and I can stab him in the leg. So he does. He falls down and then he kicks his brains out off screen. You just hear it. And then,
So good.
And then he gets out. And then finally, when he's escaping in the car that's from the intro, the white car, Jeremy's car, he accidentally runs over the grandma. Although he's not sure yet, I think that is the grandma. Because that's when he
tries to save her.
Yeah, he has that crisis of faith na parang, don't do it. But diba parang his inaction is what weighs on him with regard to his mom. So in this case, parang I can't just leave this person. So he brings her into the car, and then Rose comes out of the house with a gun, which is also, by the way, a payoff for a line earlier in the film where it's like, so Chris is like, this is their first experience with you bringing home a black boyfriend. I don't want to get run out of the house with a shotgun. I mean, it's a rifle, but that's basically what happens, no? And that's actually something that happens a lot in the Blood and Ice Cream trilogy of Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg. A lot of things that they offhandedly say becomes true later on in the film.
Or parang they tell the whole plot, diba? In like a little... Yeah.
And then, yun, so they crash. Everyone's lobotomy scar becomes obvious now. Like, oh, that's why Andre has a hat. That's why the groundskeeper, Walter, has a hat. That's why they show Georgina parang adjusting her
with a wig.
And then, and it's creepy because the parang wig catches, I think, on the door. And then she just turns her head, and then the hair stays behind and
comes
then
up.
Scar, and it's creepy as hell because he doesn't know that she's awake and then that she's the racist grandma again. So they swerve, they crash, and then here comes Stalker Rose in like hunting gear. She looks like I guess an equestrian type hunter, and then the grandfather comes. That's such a great also sequence where you sort of know what's going on because he gets tackled by the grandfather, and then he uses the flash on his phone to sort of shock him awake.
Wake him up.
And then he asks for the gun, saying, "Nah, I want to do it." And then he turns around and kills the quote unquote
shoots Rose.
Yeah. Final villain. And kills himself. That was also like, wow, this went hard and dark.
Yeah.
And then, of course, when he's choking out Rose, at first she's like trying to convince him na, oh, I love you, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, that's another mark of the true psychopath. And parang, you can feign those emotions very easily. And then, but it's not stopping him. It's not convincing him. He's still choking her out. And then it's only when she starts to smile he stops and parang, shit, she's actually enjoying this, or I don't know, but I just don't want to become what she thinks I will be, etc. But then the cop lights flash, and then you're like, oh no.
Oh my God, he's going to get murdered.
Oh my God. And then that's why it's so satisfying and, eruptions of applause when it's revealed that it's Rod in the car and not the cops. So he becomes not quite a Deus Ex Machina because it's all set up naman, but just an unlikely savior. And then if you've seen there's an alternate ending. The original ending actually is cops. And then the next scene is Rod visits him in jail. And parang, in a way, he's like defeated na. He doesn't want to fight for it. He doesn't want to fight for his freedom. He's just satisfied na parang, I put a stop to it. That's what he says. I put a stop to it. Pero it really, in test screenings, it really sort of sucks the air out of the room. So
when the cop arrives, the cop car.
Well, when they end
when he's in jail,
I think.
Yeah.
So, so they were able to come up with that much, much better ending. Because Peele was saying that this is more realistic. Pero when he was taking into account the audience response, it also occurred to him that wouldn't it be nice to parang have this fantasy ending, diba? In a way na Inglourious Bastards was able to sort of provide a kind of catharsis for Jewish people who didn't expect na Hitler was going to get machine gunned in the face at the end of the film.
Right.
Diba? Or even with black people and Django Unchained. Diba?
Yeah.
Parang having a black hero getting serving just desserts to all these white supremacists was so satisfying and so fun. I think that's sort of what they were going for. I mean, it also helps na, and this is for Aaron mostly, na parang because of his improv background, he wasn't so precious about a script, even if he was, thinking about it for so long. He was like, yeah, let's come up with something better. It doesn't have to be this all. And that's why I also see Rel, a lot of his scenes are also improvised. A lot of it, the structure is there, but a lot of his jokes, the funnier bits are just improvs na even Rel doesn't remember doing because he was so in the character now. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the most memorable endings of the last 10 years, I think, where you really I remember cheering when I watched it the first time. It was just, it's so hard to just stop from laughing while you're pumping your fist in the air. But yeah. And then it just ends. It
just ends. Yeah.
Because I mean, that's all you need now.
That's all you need.
They go off. He survived.
You don't need to see what happens 5 months later or whatever.
I don't need to hear how they explain to the cops all these dead people.
He just got out. He survived. That's it.
And it's just so satisfying now. I mean, what can you do?
Aaron and Miguel, how do you guys like the film?
I really like it.
I've been very vocal about how much I love this. How about you guys? I want to hear what you guys feel.
I really liked it also because I saw it there at the time when, there were a lot of, always naman, there's a lot of tension all the time when it comes to race, diba? But to also hear, I was in New York, so most people are liberals. So to hear that kind of cheer for that kind of movie, and also the fact that this is a different genre. He made his own genre. I really appreciated that. That's something that hasn't really been done before. So I enjoyed it because it was new. Of course, it was a great movie, but the fact that everything about it was so new, that's what I liked about it.
I actually went back and looked at the review I wrote when it came out. And parang my main point in that capsule was like, it's amazing how it's so clever, it's so scary, and it's so funny. And amazingly, it's sometimes all three in the same scene.
Yeah.
So that's how it felt like, grabe, parang leveling up talaga.
Yeah.
And it's so confident and so assured that they
It's so confident. For a first-time director.
It really
so
helped
confident.
he was the showrunner kasi of Key and Peele. And then he's such a horror fan already. And they did so many parodies
They did so many
stuff.
horror parodies, yeah.
So parang, parang in a way that was parang his test
practice.
bed.
Yeah.
Sorry, Miguel.
He honed his craft. Yeah. How about you, Miguel?
For me, parang, I remember watching it for the first time and the only time and coming out saying, galing naman ni Jordan Peele na not only did he have this story in his back pocket, he also had these skills as a filmmaker. Parang sobrang pulido ng craft.
So talented.
It was a tight movie. Tama si Ramon na all these mixing emotions in one scene. That's kind of hard to formulate if you're a first-time director.
Yeah.
Or to be able to get all that, sorry, what's the expression for it? To be able to pull it off on your first try is remarkable. And then, parang now naman, remembering the movie X number of years later. How many years later ba?
3
years pa lang ba? Yeah. Parang, oh shit, parang foreshadowing pala siya of the Trump years. Parang, oh man, parang you think, parang tama nga na even if they had voted for a black president twice, they haven't stopped being racist. Diba?
They were still there, they were still hiding. And then Trump kind of gave them the courage to be public again.
Yeah. Yun lang. Galing lang. Parang in that way, it's still pretty cool na it's still relevant now. Parang it's not a one-hit thing, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, galing.
2 things I want to mention though. There are influences that are apparent naman but aren't also... One is mentioned a lot, which is the Ira Levin books. Rosemary's Baby and Stepford Wives were both made into movies, and they're both good. Although I'm not referring to the recent Stepford Wives one with Nicole Kidman. That was more of a comedy. But the original 60s, 70s films, those are very good. And also they're very good books. They're very paranoid. So that was one of the influences that you could feel. And then Peele has mentioned na parang what those books did for the women's experience. Parang he wanted to try to do with race naman in this one. And then the other one, we've mentioned The Shining. That's kind of obvious naman. But one of the other ones I think is Being John Malkovich.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Even that video where parang the patriarch is explaining the order of coagula, the operation that's going to, swap the brains of the black people. It calls to mind the parang AVP in Being John Malkovich. Also somewhat the Dharma Initiative videos in Lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, even the concept of occupying another person and seeing through their eyes and then learning how to parang become the primary personality there. I think that's also something that I couldn't help but think of Being John Malkovich, especially since it starred a younger Catherine Keener. There are theories. There's a theory nga na it's her character na lumaki. And then parang naging evil.
Yeah.
Naging evil. That's hilarious. Man, we've this is guys, we've hit a milestone. This is easily our longest episode.
Yeah.
This is easily our longest episode, and it's been chock full of information. It never lagged for a second. Guys, we never had dead air. Whoa. But yeah. So yeah, unfortunately we got to wrap up soon, but that was an absolutely fantastic English review of Get Out, man. This has easily been our most introspective look into a single movie.
Yeah.
Like we've never gone this deep into something.
Deep dive.
Yeah, hardcore. I mean, like honestly, if we didn't have a time limit, basically, we could have gone on for a few more minutes. But how about some last words, guys, on the movie? I'll start. Obviously, really love this movie. I've seen it so many times. I think it's such a fresh entry into the genre. It's such a confident voice, especially for a first-time director. In the whole, I'm because of this, I've been so excited for anything Jordan Peele related. Obviously, I was a big fan before, but I am very biased towards horror outings, and I'm just so pleased that he did Us, which I really enjoyed too, and he's got another one coming.
Yeah,
and I'm always looking out for that, and nothing more to say. Loved it. How about you guys, Aaron?
I love the fact that Jordan Peele is within my realm. You know what I mean? Like he's a sketch writer, he's an improviser, he's a comedian. And he was able to make something like this.
Oh, so man, we should have gotten into that, Aaron.
Yeah, that really made me love him more.
It makes me expect now a horror film from Aaron.
Oh, okay, sure. I'll write one now. Where's my paper?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, start now kasi baka mag 8 years din yan, di ba? Parang me as well.
Yeah.
I'll write at the back.
Make it about guys with abs. How about you, Miguel?
For me, parang I appreciated this movie then, as I mentioned, but parang now it deserves a rewatch, I guess, for me. Parang there's a bit of a emotional release then kasi we're done with the Trump years, and baka it's easier to watch parang without forgetting the main concept na racism will always be around, hiding in different places.
Yeah,
galing lang. Pero as a film nga, by first director, as a movie in general, parang shit solid to, galing.
Diba? It's so fun to deconstruct it. Like if you're a fan of film or a student, it's so fun to parang figure out, this works because of this, and then this works because of this.
It's like a filmy movie, but while you're watching it, you forget all that, and then later on mo lang parang fuck, ang galing naming. There are many ways to read this movie and many ways to appreciate it.
Yeah. And it helps that it's so funny. But there's a line where Jeremy was like, with your genetic makeup, if you're really trained, you could be a beast. And then see Chris actually uses it. He makes fun of the line when he's trying to parang make the tension go away with him and Rose when they're about to have Sehi in the bed. Parang he does the voice of Jeremy. He's like, well, with my genetic makeup. He goes like that. So it's just so funny. Yeah. But you know what? I'm now thinking because of Miguel's comment. Now I'm thinking, I wonder what Biden horror is gonna look like now.
Ooh.
It's going to be a lot of sleeping.
We're going to be allowed to have some kind of hope again. What will the scares look like?
I don't know.
How about you, Ramon? Let's have your last word on Get Out.
Oh my God. Who needs more words? Naka 1 hour na yata ako. But no, I mean
just to wrap up.
It's a monumental piece of filmmaking, which is remarkable because it's so intimate and so personal and hits a lot of universal beats, and it started something and it became a marker of its era because it was so successful and good and popular. So that's a rare thing, parang to be so successful, well regarded, and still be a small thing. So props to him. I mean, when your first film is 99% on Rotten Tomatoes,
galing.
Parang wow, up to now it's still 99.
I think so. Well, they have to close it at some point. They can't make new reviews, pero I mean, it's remarkable, and there's a reason it was my top film of that year.
The
Yeah,
year
everyone
that
watches
Shape of
it.
the Water won pala.
Yeah, so it
Oh,
was
the
shape of water. Yeah.
I know people who
Yeah,
hate
so that's
that
a
film.
crime because fuck that fish fucking
Wait.
movie. I'm sorry. Whoa.
I enjoyed it.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
whoa,
I'm okay
whoa,
with Shape,
no,
but
no,
it's
no.
definitely not Best Picture. I mean,
Yeah.
I would have even given it
It's-
to Blade Runner.
I mean,
over
it's
Shape.
not even. It's not Get Out. Come on.
Yeah, it's
Come
definitely not Get Out. I mean,
Holy crap.
Get Out has whole classes devoted to it. Not one not one session in a horror class. There's a whole semester devoted just to Get Out in 2 different
Yeah.
on.
colleges.
Oh man, I can imagine. I can imagine.
Because there's so much to
You know,
talk about.
There is.
Absolutely. I actually imagine this episode of ours being split in 2. I think it's possible. I think it's possible.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's possible.
Value for money.
Yeah. So dude, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for tolerating me. Thanks for letting me introduce you guys.
Whoa.
I miss
Thanks
having
for-
these talks in real life, man.
Thanks for having me,
Yeah.
letting me give my dissertation on my favorite film of 2017.
well, first of all, when we were talking, Ramon had 3 options, and all 3 were incredible. By the way,
Yeah.
I hope at some point other people choose his backups.
What are the backups?
What were your backups, Ramon?
I was agonizing kasi with either The Shining, but I thought someone's absolutely going to do that. And there's a whole documentary about 237 about The Shining already. But the other ones kasi were John Carpenter's The Thing, which is such a classic also. And then
I've
I know
never
Chris
seen it.
loves
I know
that
it's Chris's
also.
favorite. Yeah.
Yeah, and then also for me personally, one of my favorite horrors of all time is The Others.
Okay.
And that's
Man, all incredible
yeah.
choices.
Alejandro Amenabar, another
yeah.
Renaissance man who writes, directs, composes the music.
Yeah.
Everything.
If no one chooses The Thing in the next 20 episodes, please come back and do The Thing.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Begging you.
Ambisyoso ata 20 episodes. Good job.
And then if someone chooses the
No,
thing,
because,
I'll just
yeah.
do the remake with Mary Elizabeth Winstead na pangit.
Oh, I didn't know.
So bad, dude.
no.
So bad.
Joke lang, sayang yung time.
Yeah, but yeah. Hey, any things you wanna promote before we end?
Your SoundCloud.
Just love and peace on earth, goodwill toward men, enjoying the holidays.
How's the turtle?
Self-care. But it's a pandemic and we have to be patient with each other. Also, we have a podcast called Enslate that every now and then
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
We come out
that's
with-
really
Yeah,
that's really interesting.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
I mean, it's not as professional as this outfit you got here, but we enjoy ourselves. We have fun. But yeah,
That's cool.
Where are you now on your K-pop watching or on your K-dramas, Ramon?
wala pa ako sa K-drama. I'm actually getting ready to hoover the 4th season of The Crown. I'm gonna mainland that.
Yes.
Nice.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, everyone.
Well, yeah. So that's it for this episode of Get Out. Thank you so much for coming on, Ramon.
I miss
it's
you,
been
dude.
awesome.
I miss you.
I miss you guys also.
All right.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Sakto, pero
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Brought to you by Big Baby Studios.